Welcome to Everyday Simple Somatics, a podcast dedicated to helping you find healing through your body's natural wisdom. I'm Dr. Christine Baker, and I'll be your host. So we are continuing our series on a somatically informed view of the Enneagram, and today we will be talking about type 4s. And if you are new to this podcast or just kind of picked up on this one episode, I'd love to encourage you to go back and check out the introduction episode because it will give you a lot of good basic information before you jump into this one, some vocab that you it will be helpful to know as we go through each number. And yeah, this has been a requested series for a while. And I just knew that I did not have the education to be able to walk people through it. And so I am absolutely thrilled to introduce you to our guest, Meagan Connley. She has been traveling with us through all of these numbers in the introduction episode, and she is just incredible. You're going to love her. She is a integrative somatic practitioner and the founder of Presence with Love. She has extensive training in body-based healing. She's completed training in the Somatic Enneagram. She's completed training in somatic experiencing. She's a certified yin yoga teacher, does breath work. She just has so many modalities under her belt of how to connect to the body. And it's just been such a joy to learn from her around how our personality patterns as well connect to our body. And so thank you so much, Meagan, for being here. And I can't wait to jump into Enneagram 4s with you.
Thanks. Yeah, I'm excited.
Awesome. Well, for people that are new to the Enneagram, why don't you tell us a little bit about type 4s and what we would need to know about them?
Yeah. So type 4, one of the naming conventions for that would be the individualist. And 4s might enjoy hearing this, but there's a way that they kind of get talked about as probably the most complex type. So I'll see what I can do to offer some justice to this explanation. But the way that I kind of feel into this, think about this is as humans, we're all unique. We're all different. And the 4s know that. And the 4 wants to know, what is my brand of uniqueness? Like, what is my flavor of that? What does it mean to be me? I want to know who I am. And in that, I also want it to be understood and seen by others. So I want to know and feel and sense and have this value of my uniqueness, specialness, and I want other people to know that and see that as well. And I want them to know who I am. And so there's this fear really then of being plain, flawed, inadequate, without identity, without significance, feeling cut off from emotions because emotions are a big part of this. It's kind of this way of I think I am my feelings, and they're supersized. And there's ways that 4s, that some of the behaviors might show up I'm really worried about abandonment. I feel like maybe I don't belong. And in some ways, that feeds my ego again because, see, look, I am different and you really don't get me. And I want you to want me, but I also want to play hard to get. There's a way that 4s can kind of romanticize or idealize, and generally can be pretty artistic or creative people. And sometimes this could also show up in ways that the 4 could look self-absorbed or melodramatic.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you so much. That was so helpful. Okay. So then kind of making the transition over to, what this podcast is really looking at, the somatically informed piece. Tell us a little bit about the somatic profile for the individualist.
Yeah. So a couple of different ways of looking at this. One is, again, through that center of intelligence, how we're taking in and processing information. And for the 4 being in that heart center, the core emotion that might be showing up is grief. And the pattern that the 4 tends to have is being more expressive of that, really kind of identifying with, showing up with, sensing into more of the grief. It doesn't mean that they're feeling the depths of it. Doesn't mean they're really letting it touch them, but there's this way that it's kind of on the surface of them. And seeing also then somatically how the freeze response might be showing up for the 4s. Another thing we can look at is the Harnevian triad, or the stances, which is how we're moving socially, how we're getting our needs met. And for the 4, the 9 is in that withdrawing stance. So could be, again, physical, I'm moving away from people physically to get my needs met, or it could be this mental withdrawing of I'm here, but I'm not really here. I'm going into my inner fantasy land, and that's how I'm going to kind of get my needs met. And as I'm doing that, I can be repressing taking action. So not maybe that I'm not doing anything, but the things that I'm doing aren't always kind of aligned, right action, priority, what is mine to do, what are the mundane or boring things that need to get done as part of being in the reality of human. I just want to do these like fun things. So noticing how that repressing of doing or taking action could be showing up through the body. And then Marion Gilbert of Somatic Enneagram really talks about the defense mechanism and how that's keeping our ego pattern running. And for the 4, that defense mechanism is introjection. And again, the way I understand this is like 4s can have this way of whatever the room isn't feeling, I will feel it. Like I'm introjecting, I'm taking on the thing that other people aren't taking on. So generally, other people might be feeling like happy or trying to be happy or trying to be okay or trying to be alive or friendly or whatever. So I'll take on the sadness, I'll take on the anger, I'll take on the uh, moody things that other people don't like or think are uncomfortable or negative, and I'm taking that on in myself and like kind of identifying with that because again, it's keeping me different, keeping me separate. It's keeping me special or unique. I'm doing the different thing that you're not doing. So noticing how introjection might be showing up for you. And then somatically, things we might be curious about, might notice in the bodies of type 4s could look like, again, more of that expressiveness of sad or heavy feelings and not so much of happy or light kind of feelings. There could be a way that they're really expressive and then really withdrawn and this like swinging back and forth between those ends. There could be a way that there's like this caving in. I'm protecting my heart. I'm again moving to the head, storytelling, fantasies, all the stories about what I'm feeling and not really feeling the feelings, but having the stories about the feelings. And that could lead to things like anxiety.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I have 2 questions. So one is I've heard the individualist as like the title. I've also heard the artist, which is kind of speaking to, I think how creatives can often be in this type. I wonder like what comes up for you even when I say that, like, does that make sense? Like, I don't know.
Yeah. So one of the things that comes up for me is our type structures are really ways that we effort for something that we already are, our essential nature.
Okay.
And for 4s, that can relate back to like the idea of beauty and depth. Like we are all beautiful and we all have so much depth and nuance and complexity to us. And the 4s will effort for that. And when I'm not efforting, I actually just allow that beauty and that depth to be expressed through poetry, art, through whatever medium. There's this way of like, yeah, I can express the beauty and depth of my heart and what it means to be human.
It's really helpful. You've probably said that already, but I think that way that you just worded it feels super helpful. Like they already have this, but their type structure is making them almost like work overtime for it. Is that right?
Right?
Okay. Very good. Okay. And then what was my other question? Oh, I was going to ask, you said they can tend to hold what's not in the room. And then you also said that they tend towards, more like sad or harder feelings versus like happy, light, energetic, whatever. What would be your guess of how, and the answer may just be, it depends on the person, but what would be your guess of how an Enneagram 4 would show up if they come from a family of origin that's like depressed all the time?
Yeah, there could definitely be a way that a 4 might then take on more of like, oh, we can be happy, we can be okay. Like, yeah, we can be different this way. Yeah. But there might still be this quality of um I still want to be seen as special and unique and different in that. Like, this is not a regular kind of happy where I'm fitting in with people. It's like there's still some different thing that I'm bringing to it.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Super helpful. All right. So tell us a little bit about what it would look like for the individualist to start to become more dysregulated or move towards stress.
Yeah, the Enneagram framework with the arrows kind of points us at where the type 4 might move in stress, and that's moving toward the 2. So that might be like I'm now focused more on other people's needs. I'm repressing my own needs. I'm a little bit more kind of clingy and involved, trying to manipulate people, might be a little bit more jealous. So if you're noticing any of those behavior patterns or emotions or qualities, seeing what that's like again in your body. And over time, if we've been in dysregulation for a while, if we're more attached to our ego and we don't have these other kind of strategies and resources of support, the four can show up in ways that's like I'm playing a victim. I'm really kind of getting stuck in the shame spiral and I can't connect to any part of me that like wants to get out of this. I can't connect to the part of me that wants to heal. It's just like I am this misery and that's how I will always be. Everything is a source of torment and just feeling kind of hopeless or depressive.
All right. And then the other direction, if they are starting to move towards really working with their patterns.
Yep. So, starting again with that center, if I don't need the freeze response for survival, that energy is freed up for seeking connection. And again, I get to be part of that. I'm showing up in me, not trying to be special, but just in my own self and seeking connection from there, letting people see me for who I really am. And this way of when I'm not in that duality, I want to avoid this and go towards that and more encompassing, holding of all perspectives of my reality. The holy idea is holy origin and the sense of like we're all coming from the same mystery. I'm not more mysterious or unknown or unique than somebody else. We're all coming from the same place, the same source of true nature. And in that, there is wholeness. In that, I belong and everyone belongs. There is wholeness. Also, this sense of I don't have to try to figure out who or what I am. I just am. Like what I am is what I am. And there's not some identity that I necessarily need to seek or try to understand. It just already is here by being.
Yeah, beautiful. I love that. Okay. Well, why don't we take a second to talk about something they could do daily and then we could move into a little practice for our fours.
Yeah. So that every day kind of look at somatics, what is happening in your body, how is this type structure playing out? One thing the fours might look at is what is it like for you to do something mundane or normal, right? Everything doesn't have to be so special, but just paying the bills, taking the garbage out, doing laundry and the dishes, brushing your teeth, like those kinds of things. What is it like in your body while you're doing those?
That's so good. Yeah, I was thinking washing dishes. That's so good. Okay. Very cool.
Yeah. And as we've been inviting, if in this moment you're open to a practice or you want to come back to this and you feel ready for doing some work together in whatever timeline that looks like, we can start to tune into our bodies here and now. And maybe that kind of looks like getting any movement. Like we don't have to be so stuck or caved in. There can be a way that your body wants to express in this moment and letting that move through. It doesn't need to be big, it doesn't need to be anything, just intuitive, what wants to happen. And maybe at some point you notice a natural settling, that rhythm that your nervous system has, that your body remembers. There is movement and slowing down, activation and deactivation. You might start to notice if there are parts of you that feel settling, maybe some sense of grounding. And seeing what happens, what you notice when you tune into this feeling tone of the form that is envy, this sense the patterns can have of chronic lack or incompleteness, and staying in this state of deficiency means something is missing and I have to look outside of me. seeing what sensations you might notice with that experience. You might already be noticing stories or images or thoughts, and we can notice those too. And maybe noticing a breath coming in and out, and some part of you that's making contact with another surface, taking a breath in and out. And seeing if you can notice even one sensation in your body, somewhere below your neck. And letting that sensation be there. Seeing if your body might also want to take on a different shape when you experience this feeling tone of envy. Maybe follow that, or maybe you just notice that it's there. Noticing an exhale, something supportive. Maybe seeing if there are other emotions alongside this envy. And perhaps to start kind of wrapping up for now, knowing you could come back to this or stay with it if you want to pause. You could think about, imagine, or sense offering your body some gratitude and compassion. All those beautiful, deep things it expresses and feels, helps you be you. And tuning into anything else that might feel supportive in this moment as you start to bring awareness back out to your edges and surface. Be maybe looking around your space, and taking your time or whatever else you might need.
Mm. Hmm. I have this like great light coming in from this window, like right here in my office. That's why I keep looking behind me. It's so pretty. Yeah. Thank you, Megan. That was wonderful.
Thank you.
Yeah. It's interesting. I feel like with this one too, I noticed it with the 3, but even with this one, I feel like I noticed a lot of internal distraction. Like it was like I would like try to be with what you were offering, and then all of a sudden it was like, oh yeah, I need to text my husband about how we're picking up our kids today. Like it was just like all these little things. So that was that was like really curious to me. Like there's something like my system's kind of like, don't look over there. Don't look in that corner. I don't
Yeah.
know. Is that common?
Yeah. Yeah. Really doing this work it's a practice. It's an invitation. And our whole Enneagram pattern is set up to not do this, to not feel this, to not look at this, to not go there. And we have, right, the defense mechanism, this thing, that thing. And it's like, what can I throw at this so
Yeah.
we don't go toward it? And
Mm,
so for all of our types, it makes sense if it feels hard. It's hard for me sometimes too. So all of
yeah.
us are on that journey if we get to keep practicing.
Yeah. Oh, that's so good. Thank you for saying that, Megan. Okay. So, as we wrap up, if you could give our individualists one piece of wisdom about their body on their healing journey, what would that be?
Yes. Yeah. And tuning into that wisdom that you already have in your body, and Marion's invitation that pain can be our sign and signal to wake up, and fours might already be really tuning into that sense of pain and identifying with it. And this invitation here of, is there a way that not having joy, lightness, love, those things, how does that cause you pain? The pain of identifying with pain.
Hmm.
And it might be kind of weird, uncomfortable, strange, but what might it be like to turn toward those lighter experiences? And is there some wisdom in that for you?
Oh, I love that. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for the work you put into this episode and all of the episodes. You're incredibly intentional with how you're presenting all of this information. So I very much appreciate it. And I know that a lot of our listeners are going to appreciate it and may even want to dig a little bit deeper with you. And so I'm curious if you could take a second to just share a little bit about what you offer as far as working with folks.
Yeah, thank you. So you can find me at presencewithlove.com or on Instagram at Meagan Connley. And if through moving through this series, you're still not sure about your type, or you want to know a little bit more in depth about the framework and how it works, I have this introductory program for foundations and typing that we can move through. And the listeners of this podcast will get a discount for that. And then for new clients, working with your nervous system, your body and emotions, your patterns, which might be through the lens of the Enneagram, there's a new client program that I work with, and we can talk more about what that looks like.
Thank you so much, Megan. I appreciate it. So glad that you have agreed to do this series with us. So thank you for your time. And thank you for your time, everyone who's listening. I hope that this has been a helpful episode. And as we wrap up, I just want to say, as I always say, and as Megan has said to end each episode too with her final question, your body has innate wisdom. All we have to do is learn how to listen to it. And that's what I'm here for. I'll see you next time.